I like what James Clear has to say about habits, what they are and how they're structured. The idea that there is a cue or something that we see, there is a craving that comes up within us that we want something. There's a response where we take action, and then there's a reward, something that we receive as a result of taking action. So in a negative habit, which is maybe easy to first think about, there might be a cue that we get home, the pantry's open, there's some nice tasting goodies in there and a crinkly packet that we see, and that elicits a craving on the inside that we seek to eat what's in that. And then we respond by grabbing that, eating that, and the reward is that we feel maybe the dopamine that we experience and the good feeling as a response to that. So that can then form a habit that every time we walk past the pantry, we have some of the goodies or a biscuit or something that's in there, and becomes something that becomes a mental shortcut over time. They become quite hardwired and hard to break, and we get really frustrated with habits that we just go, why is this so easy to do and hard to break?
Yes.
So there's negative habits and then forming positive habits over time that link with the goals that we do want. So I think that's a really important thing to think about is what is the habits that I want to break, and what are the habits that I want to start, and then putting your focus on those things as opposed to just focusing on the goal.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to add one thing to that, Greg, and I love that framework, but just to add that deeper aspect to it as well is, and we touched on this in a previous episode, right? Understanding the unconscious benefits or the conflicting agenda that may be acting out. So, if you were reaching for, the food in the pantry and you go, why do I do this? I hate myself for it. I'm self-sabotaging. Well, asking yourself, you mentioned the 5 whys before. Why am I doing this? What am I getting out of it? Okay, is it the one time you accept yourself? Does it allow you to escape this pain? Maybe if you're overweight, then the people that aren't going to accept you for you can just leave, and at least you know where you stand. You'd be surprised how much deep insight and pain avoidance comes and is embedded in these so-called, negative habits we get caught up in. So, we've touched on that before, and I won't take you too off track with your framework there, but also looking at, what are we, even if it's short-sighted and it doesn't align with our values, what are we unconsciously getting out of it so we can be real with that, not judge ourselves, but actually look at the bigger picture of we are getting something out of it, but it doesn't support our values or our vision for our life.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I think often people, when they try and do habits or do the practical side and they bump into repeating patterns they don't want that are hard to break or ones that are hard to start, is when they get drawn into there's something deeper going on that I need to acknowledge and work on. In terms of what James Clear talks about, and I love this, is with those 4 elements, we can work with those things to create or break habits. So he says with a cue, the key part is to make it obvious. So if you're going to start running, then maybe it's setting out the gear the night before that you see it, that it's obvious. The second thing about the craving is to make it attractive. So maybe you've pre-decided to run a playlist that you love. Or you're going to have a coffee I do that, is set it up on the bench, all the pieces of an AeroPress coffee. You wake up and you see the clothes, you see the provided that you get up when your alarm goes.
And it's a powerful self-signal as well, right?
Yeah. There's the idea of sort of being your own butler the night before, that you lay the things out. No one's coming to serve me, but I will serve my future self by setting those up. And then you get up and go, oh, who did this for me? Well, I set that up and I have more incentive to want to do it. The response is then make it easy. So when you're starting a habit, one of the key things he talks about is if you have the picture as I have previously, I'm not a runner. I'm not someone who works out consistently. The first thing you want to do is try and develop the identity that I am the sort of person who exercises. I am the sort of person who runs. And a key way to do that is make it really small and achievable and easy. So you might start with, I'm going to put my shoes on, walk around the block, come home, take them off, job done. That is it, because the goal is the repetition initially. So tomorrow you do the same thing, and the next day and the next day, and you can expand from there. So make it easy, make it small, and then the last thing is make it rewarding. So there's something at the end, maybe then I have my shower.
As in sustaining?
Something that you would genuinely look forward to congratulate yourself that's not opposing to your goal. So you might have a little reward system or something you look forward to. Somewhere, maybe for you, it's simply having it on a chart and you tick it off and you love seeing the progress on the chart, and that is enough of a reward. But designing your habit in a way that is making it obvious, making it attractive, making it easy, and then make it satisfying.